I only wanted to test how good AI can handle Unity, but one day later I got playable Portal game clone with portal guns, teleporting and other mechanics. Here's what I did. I connected Fable 5 with Unity through MCP. I found really good one and free that has all the things that we need. You was asking for it. Here you go. And I was absolutely amazed how good it worked. Unity is code first, so gameplay and stuff was not an issue. Also, Fable is really good at procedural generation and 3D understanding. And additionally, I know best 3D AI to generate some assets and give it to Claude to make my game look nice. All of that in this video. How to install this plugin, how to connect it to your AI, how I build the game and final results. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get started. Installation is very simple. We're gonna need Unity MCP by Coplay Dev, and I was comparing few, even some paid one, and I really see that this one is absolutely the beast. It has all the things you need and is supported by quite big team, while the MCP itself is free. Now here's how you install it. We're gonna need to copy this link from here and go to Unity. Let's go to Package Manager and basically install it from URL. Paste the URL and hit install button. Sorry about my minimized window. Okay, now we can see it's installing. When it is installed in window, you're gonna see MCP for Unity and you will be able to toggle or not. I recommend to restart the Unity and then get back to this one. So now we can press local setup window, and here we can see this setup. Just press next, and here you can see all your CLI or agents installed, and you can install it for all of them at once, which makes sense, or for some of them. So that's pretty simple stuff. It will basically write that skill, that plugin inside the agents. So whenever you go to your agent, just restart it and it will be already there. You can always circle back here and see what's happening here. And if you will install new agents such as anti-gravity, let's say, you can find it here in the list and press configure. Or we can always just press configure all detected clients. Now I'm gonna go restart my Claude code, go back, and in any chat, just gonna check like, is there any Unity MCP you can see while Unity running, of course, and I have the confirmation that everything is set. Now this is it really, that's the basic setup. You already can start cooking. The same thing exactly you can do with Codex, with Gemini, with Kimi K3. Let me know actually in the comment if you want me to test Unity with Kimi K3. There was video about it on my channel already, and Kimi K3 is very close to Fable 5. So now let's do the cooking. You're gonna see edits of some of my prompts in a distance of 1 day, because I was using Fable 5 with ultra code. Exactly. And sometimes I hit the limit, so I had to wait a little bit. I was doing it on max subscription, but I was not paying additionally for credits. Only subscription but max plan. Now my start was ambitious. Just one prompt saying I need to make you a clone of the game Portal, no store assets, all from primitives. That's pretty simple game in terms of assets, but very deep in terms of mechanics. And I went to sleep because that was expected to be long with ultra code, etc. And in the morning I saw that Claude was cooking for a few hours, not whole night, just few hours, and I saw the result. And what I saw really surprised me. I was actually able to do basic Portal stuff such as portal, throwing objects and stuff. There was even a button, even some simple levels. I was so surprised because I expected way less than that. There was a lot of bugs which I actually start addressing one by one right away. First, it was about portals, the surfaces where we can and where we cannot place the portals. Well, that's the reference to the game. And then Fable actually introduced some markup, etc. I was trying to actually do the minimal effort in terms of prompting and see how far I can push it, while providing it with the feedback what I want and what's not working. And addressing bugs was not a big issue, it was addressing it quickly, so later I did not face them again, which is actually good. With Opus 4.8, I remember I was doing some games and I could not fix some bugs for like 10 times unless I go and figure out the reason myself. It still can happen, but we're more complicated stuff. So as I always say, these tools are extremely valuable in hands of professionals. If you know what you're doing, if you know what to ask, if you can guide it, to the right solution or better solution. That is amazing. Well, I do have some game dev background, so I know how to make it smoother and how to guide it slightly so it will do the right thing, because there's infinite amount of ways how you can do one same thing that will look the same but technically executed completely different ways. Okay, so I spent a while fixing portals, and then I started to go wild and trying to add some more mechanics, and I was quite lazy asking like what game mechanics were still missing. Let's add them. Well, basically brainstorming with Fable, and there were quite a lot of fun stuff that we can add. Some gadgets, gales, lasers. Especially the laser mechanic was fun to do, that it goes through the portal, etc., and you'll see it works really nice. So here's my result after 4 or 5 hours. I can place portals and I can just go through it, boom, and take box, take an object, basically any, press it on a button, and I completed the level. Guys, that's so cool. I mean, that was actually available already in first version, but I was addressing some bugs. Now we have jumping pods. We can take some boats and basically drop them into void. And yeah, that was the level 2. Quite simple. And then we have level 3 with the laser, right? Okay, so we can place portal and portal on the opposite side. Okay, I think I pressed the wrong button. Let's try it again. Boom. Yes, and again it works. Wow. I know everything is with primitives, no VFX, but we have more to do. Next, I thought it will be cool to actually have this one room where all mechanics are explained. I mean, that's pretty useful in game development, so you can test the mechanics alone. If you remember Source Engine, there was a playground where you can also test all of that mechanics. So I mean, why not? That's exactly what I asked, and I asked to add more mechanics, and it will be very fun to explore and see and test it in one place, and I will not have to go through levels. And quite soon I actually had it. So we do have plenty of things here. Oh, the camera. By the way, I almost forgot the camera, by the way. The radio and all that stuff. Not everything was working, like gels. It added gels, and I asked it like to implement all the mechanics, but sometimes it's not taking all. If you say like implement all, it will definitely miss something, because what is all, right? So you always iterate anyway. So that was my next step, and I started with the gales. Gales in Portal are special surfaces that has special properties. For example, blue one allow you to bounce, the orange sort of speed you up, right, when you go through it. White allowed to place a portal on it. Well, I spent a bit more time on mechanics and stuff, and it was working pretty nice, but of course we want nice visual, and I showed you some cool stuff in intro. Let me show you how I achieved that. First of all, the ground level is to tell Claude that we actually want the visuals, and I asked it to basically go and search by itself. And the cool thing is that it can go search web, find textures from various sources, or even procedurally generate them. So here's before and here is after, and that is basically one 30-minute prompt. It went through internet, found various stuff, and it looks so much better. I mean, the lighting looked much better, the textures, the surfaces, everything looks sort of nice. It also improved some VFX, but of course 3D objects was the same, primitives, etc., which is sort of expected. And next prompt was related to polishing props, signage, and atmosphere. And look how far it actually pushed it. So I recorded some intermediate gameplay on that stage, and it looks like completely different thing, right? The portals look way better. There's VFX. Well, the props by themselves also started to look better, while still primitives. Some images, some textures, some explanation signs, all that started to come together. Now, the last thing I was lacking is, of course, the proper assets. So for that, of course, I'm gonna generate it with Tripo. It's extremely simple. You can use HD model, set the right poly count. You can also use smart mesh and generate a low poly, etc. And the result was simply amazing. My workflow here was super simple. Since I had my Claude code having all the context about the game, what's needed, I just asked it to create me some text prompts. Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the cases when I use text prompts, because why do I really need the images pretty much work the same. And I generated a bunch of models. You can see them on the screen. Also, for some models, I tried segmentation. An obvious use case is destruction. So basically, you can tell that this mesh is for destruction. It will basically fall apart in that pieces. Guns and stuff also here. And I also want to honestly recommend Tripo for you and your project, since right now it's still top 1 3D AI generator, not by my opinion only, but also because of almost 200,000 votes on Blind 3D Arena. And you don't have to trust me, you can check it yourself. We recently added almost 18 new prompts. We spent like 2 weeks generating it all in every 3D AI generator, adding new 3D AI generator as soon as they actually land, and decide for yourself. But if you decide to try Tripo, link with free credits and a juicy promo code will be in the description. So let's do final tuning for the Portal game. I realized I missed the gun actually, so I actually asked Claude to work on it, and updated results and VFX I like way more. And of course, let's add all these assets that we generated, told Claude where they are located, and said, well bro, it's time to actually replace all the assets and stuff. And here we go. Woo! Everything looks so nice. You can see all the assets I just generated, the camera, the radio. Well, now the objects actually make sense. The gun, in the end of the days, the ball, the spheres. I mean, of course, like the object that better be procedural generated remain procedural generated. Why not? Okay, we have all the mechanics working. Just look at this. We can actually play with glue and everything works. Wow, that was super fun. I was expecting that everything will be broken and nothing gonna work, to be honest, and that is also one of the reasons I was delaying doing the video about Unity. I was not sure about the result, but it is really better than I expected. Fable did amazing job everywhere, but he cannot fight Z fighting. That is that artifact on the floor. Well, we all have our weaknesses. Lasers and gels is probably still one of my favorite mechanics, because again, yeah, like boom, and wow, it works. Wow. I mean, that's so cool. If someone will tell me even 5 years ago I will be able to recreate Portal within a day, well, actually less than a day, I would definitely not believe. I mean, that's like so much, you know, like, and look, you can see it works. Wow. And I probably say something that you not expect. I think Unity and Godot also are way better to work with Fable 5 or any other AI, because they're code first and you basically spend way less time in tokens to achieve some results. I mean, working with blueprints for AI is much more difficult than with code. If you don't know much about blueprints and stuff, yes, AI can do that, but if something goes wrong, it will be very hard for you to figure out what's exactly. Or you're gonna spend plenty of tokens telling Fable to find the problem. So that is how I feel about it. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I see you in the next one.